Alright, so we have another trade recap. We will actually be going over Monday's potential trades that we did not take because they were about a B plus setup. So these were about a B plus setup for me. And given the reason that they were a B plus setup, we didn't take the trade since we were trying to pass our funded account. So we didn't want to take that. We didn't want to take a B plus setup, risking, the whole account initially. But these trades would have been hit. They're just B plus setups. So just go over these trades really quickly. This setup would have been an A plus setup if we would have swept out these lows right here, which were previous day Asia lows. So that's the time frame we're looking to sweep, as well as to get a retap into this fair value gap. Because we know that we would get a bounce back once we set this liquidity inside of this fair value gap to go up higher. But we actually ended up just reacting off of, I believe, London lows. So actually after we swept out this is when it became a B plus setup, because we just swept out this. It would have been an A plus if we would have swept out this underlying, but taking a liquidity sweep off of this, taking a retracement off of a liquidity sweep like this when there is a lower, there's more resting liquidity down here, there's resting orders down here. It wasn't something I wanted to take. So we'll see, and this is 755. But as we see, kind of get choppy. Then this right here, this candle is where we sweep out that London low, and then we do get kind of an inverse right here with this candle. Let's see, so this would have been your entry right here. Place it right below that candle, and then at these highs it would have been TP. Could also re-entered on the retest of the fair value gap that was formed by this displacement. So this is really good B plus setup right here, because everything else is right. We just left this liquidity, which is the reason why we didn't take it. Now, going on to today's trade, the big trade that we lost. We blew the funded account. Some bullshit. So we'll give you the thought process, bias behind this trade, why it was a losing trade, and what we did incorrectly. So at the start, I believe this is what? Yeah. So at the start, we really wanted to see, I like seeing these New York lunch highs getting swept out. I didn't really think about New York AM high because I didn't think that we was gonna even need to go all the way up there, just because that would have kind of invalidated really bearish structure if we would have swept out here. We could have still entered on the retracement, but I assumed that this was going to be something super hot that was going to get on. Just now looking back, yeah. So that's why exactly why we didn't take it, because this was kind of where we wanted to see price reject to kind of stay above that. So that's why that was the thought process behind that. Now, we did end up taking quite a bit of trades. Just to show you, that's actually right here. So these are all the executions we did. We will go through them. right now. So let's go to our performance stats. Yep, here it is. I always show you. So the initial, once we swept out that high right here, we actually, I believe, went to the 30-second time frame. Which actually, I think our first trade was around like right here. So after we got a swept of this, I think that's when our first trade was right here, 17. Yeah, 22 was our first trade. So on this candle, once we actually inverse this 1 minute, is I believe when we answered at let's see, 222. And this, I believe we put ourselves right there. Maybe. I think this was our. Yeah, so this was our initial position, which I think we just danced around, and we ended up hitting our stop loss. Now, this is right here, I think where I wouldn't break even, right at this spot right here, was our break even spot, which we took to break even. But, we got stopped out right there. So it's okay. Now we swept out even more liquidity. We should get something a little bit more clean. We got an inverse. No 2 minute. No 3 minute. So just a 2 minute. And then, yep, I think we do get another re-entry right about here. Placing these stops right above here. Targeting again this low. Which we then get stopped out again. And I think we do re-enter in one more time after. Yeah, I do believe, let's see. Nah, it was like, last trade, 845. Yeah, last trade we had entered in, oh yeah, we had entered in right here. I think we have seen this big kind of just go back up to our entry point. We re-entered again, and then we just see this long candle right here go back out. Stop us. So overall, those 3 trades that we took brought us a loss of $2,188. So with that, the only problem that I could see with this trade was the fact that we didn't really form any 5 minutes. That's the only thing. I mean, I would consider this an A- setup. An A- setup. Just because on any candle that we also inverse the fair value gap, well, at least like right here, we didn't create any fair value gaps. And if we did, we like disrespected them immediately. This was probably your most viable option. Let's say enter in on this inverse, which, boom, we got inverse there, inverse there, inverse there. So this could have maybe been your best viable option, but I do think price did on the silicone node right there. But this wasn't a trade that we're looking for a Hail Mary. That was our problem. We were trying to go for a massive trade after the first two losses, since we were down about, I believe, 1,000 the first two trades, because we risked about $300, $400 per trade. So yeah, on the second trade we ended up, after their fees and everything, because we were going up quite high lot sizes, we pretty much were down 1,000 and some change in the second trade. So on the third trade we were trying to Hail Mary it. I do believe at our peak, which was probably somewhere down here, we was about break even after the first two trades. So we was up about 1,300 on this trade right here. And then position is completely reversed. Now I could have still taken that, because we did see a reaction on this low right here. So that could have just been a great exit right there, or move stops to break even again. Because after the first trade, we moved our stops to break even after this low. Got stopped out shortly after. When I saw price doing this bullshit, where it travels fucking 45 ticks in a single candle, yeah, that's when we just kept our stops up here. And honestly, we were just looking just to sweep out this low again. I think if we swept at this low, we would still be up about 2 to 3K, which would have passed our funded account. But yeah, let's look at this trade. I don't remember if this one played out. I don't think it did. Yep. So this one didn't play out again. The lowest point you would have got was right here, these lows, for a 1.9. So overall, trade idea was there. It shouldn't have been a massive loss in a blown account as it was, but we did just fail to manage this trade correctly. And I would love to make an excuse as to why I couldn't, but there's definitely no excuse. I mean, after we swept these lows right here, we should have just stayed confident with our trade setup and moved and kept our stops right there at break even. Because moving stops to break even is just to protect us from shit like this at choppy market. Because overall, I do think we ended up sweeping New York AM session highs, right? Let's see, let's put it on like the 5 minute. And really, from even the, let's see, there was no liquidity up here, so I mean, there's nothing I could take it into this dead zone right here. Excuse me. So yeah, we don't even sweep these highs till 12 a.m. And even then, I mean, this price action is just insane. Alright, we're just chopped all the way down. We don't even feel this fair value gap. We go all the way up. Again, we sweep these highs. Then we take out the lows, which I don't even think we would have got an entry on this. And maybe this fair value gap. Gotta place it this high and caught something pretty nice. That's just a maybe though. Nah, because it didn't even reverse it. So you would probably this fair value gap. You would probably enter in like somewhere right here. Place like these. Target. Break even. And then you could easily sweep some at a 5 to 1. So this could have been the trade that you take. But it just wasn't the trade that we took. We ended up taking all this chop. So yep, overall that is the trade that we ended up taking. 3 trades for a blown account. We will be back though on Asia Gold if we take the trade tomorrow. And yeah, Overall, don't think it was a bad trade. Confluences were correct. We did sweep out a high. It just wasn't what we wanted to see. When we had all this manipulation going up, and we have this sweep down, decent zone. But that is that. Overall, we do have to be a little bit more on top of moving our stops to break even after we would just swing low to save us from the trade, which we did on the first trade. We wasn't down on money. But on just the second, third trades where we got destroyed. On the third trade we opened, we had 45 odds open. These aren't crazy big movements, but because our contract size was just so massive. We felt like 2 points we got stopped out. But again, it's not like we wanted to have a fucking massive stop loss. But overall, good trade. You should have. I think let's see. On this first trade, we entered in right here. Once we got that inverse. Wrong way. So got the inverse. Go to right here for 1 to 1 to 3. Boom. Price reverses right there. So that is what the setup would have been. It was just so tight, up here it was 18.6. Stop loss of 18.6. Like I said, we really entered on the 30-second, I think on this same trade, but on the 30-second just to get a slight bit earlier entry. And because we wasn't forming any fair value gaps at that point. On the 1 minute or the 2 minute, 3 minute, all the way up to the 5 minute, we wasn't forming any fair value gaps. So that could have been another thing that we were just consolidating. But it was a trend upwards. Because we was making a lower low or a higher low and a higher high. Is what we were making with this. So that could have been another thing that we should have just noticed and got out early. Just because we would already swept this trend line liquidity. We're just, this wick low. And we could have taken a trade there for 1 to 1.3. We didn't. But it is all good. See? So you're gonna undo. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. So the amount that we were supposed to risk on this, let's see, was 50. 50 contract, well 60 contracts, which we couldn't even open that much of a position. Yeah, you couldn't even open that much of a position. Even if that's right there, 1550. Yeah, if we would open a max position, we would be able to pass the funded account. But this was just the only trade setup I had seen, and yeah, it wasn't that much I could do about it. Overall, I like the trade. It was an amazing trade, I think. Just poor trade management. I do think even we moved stops to break even after this point. So this is where we got stopped out. Could have taken that. It would have been better than posting a video today about blowing an account. But we did end up taking those 3 L's. So unfortunately, we did not make that account live till trade the next day, but we will be making progress. We will make that progress little by little. So anyways, since I am without an account, I have just blown an account, I will be buying another Top Step account, another no activation fee Top Step account, and probably some Apex funded trader accounts as well, because they are still on sale. But with that, we do wrap up the video for day 2, and see you guys on the next day, hopefully tomorrow. Next day I take a trade.